Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the garage. We're going to be working on the Fiesta ST today. I decided to adjust the suspension on it. I haven't messed with the suspension since pulling it out of the box and putting it on the car, so I decided, I'm like, you know what, let's adjust the ride height a little bit, bring it up, and see how it looks. And yeah, we'll just get right to it. Alright, so I went around the car and I made measurements for all four corners, and where I measured was I measured at the top of the hubcap here up to the top of the wheel arch. So all these measurements, they're all different, and I tried to do some fine tuning when I first put the suspension on, but I guess I didn't get it right, or I didn't compensate for the coils to be settling and everything. So this one here, from top of the hubcap to the top of the wheel arch, this was 11¼ inches. The back driver side was 11⅛ inch. Front passenger side was 11⅛ inch, and back passenger side was 11�3 inch. So we're going to be fixing that today. We're going to make it all even all the way around, yeah, just get a little more gap in here. So I'm wanting to run some wider tires, and I want to make sure that I clear those fenders. I don't really want to roll the fenders out at all. I'd like to keep the body looking as stock as possible. So I like the whole sleeper thing. But yep, I'll get back to you guys when I have all the wheels off and everything, and we'll keep pressing forwards. Alright guys, these are the tools that I'm using to pull the front suspension off on the Fiesta. Need notepad, pen, tape measure, just so you can measure everything. Make sure you have everything where it needs to be. I have a locking splined lug nuts on my Fiesta, so I've got that in the tool. Got a Sharpie so that I can mark on the shock bodies where the maximum height is and where I want it to sit. 10mm socket for the brake line. 18mm with a wobble on it, just because I'm using a battery-powered impact. That'll be used to pull the pull the control arm bolts off of the wheel hub. 19mm, that just goes onto there. And then we got 12mm. Those are for the 3 nuts that are up on top of the shock tower. 15mm, that'll be used for your sway bar link and also the control arm bolts. And then a 5mm hex key, and that is for the sway bar link. You don't really need these power tools. You can easily get away with just a normal ratchet wrench and even just wrenches. So these things just make it quicker. And then also a dead blow hammer, just for anything that's a little stubborn. So I like to use this, put a wrench on there, tap on it just to break it loose, especially if it's in a tight area where this won't fit. So anyways, we'll be back in a minute. Alright guys, so I already got the wheel and suspension off over on that the passenger side, so I thought I'd show you guys the driver's side since I have a little more room over here than I do on the passenger. But I'll get these lug nuts off real quick. Wheels off. Alright, so now that we got the wheel off, you can clearly see the suspension up here. What I'm going to do is, I did this over on the passenger side. I broke this locking collar loose that's right here before getting the suspension out, just to make it easier on myself. That's where the dead blow comes in handy. So we're going to get up here. Alright. Locking collar loose. So now we can move on to everything else. Alright guys, so I got you a better view on the inside here. Basically all we got to do is pull this 10mm off. That's for the brake line here. And then we got these two 15 bolts. You probably can't see this lower one here. But they're mated to a 18mm nut. We got our brake line, or our ABS sensor that we have to unclip here. And then we've got the 15 mil with the 5 mil hex head here. We just got to pull those off. So we'll start with this 10 mil here. Alright, that one's done. And then we'll do the sway bar link here. Alright, that's broken loose. I can move on. We'll just tuck that sway bar link out of the way there. And then moving on to, we got to pull the control arm bolts, these ones here. I like to work on the nut side first, because if you can break that loose, it makes it a lot easier to deal with that. I was able to pull the lower one off all the way, so that makes that easy. All right. Now I like to just keep the nuts and bolts together, so that's just me though. Do whatever you gotta do. Let's see if we can tap this one out of there. Persuade it a little bit. There we go. Alright. Now we can just gently let this thing hang here. Gotta be too careful. Can't let it go too far down, because you can pull your CV out of your transmission if you let it hang like real low. Where it's at right now, it should be fine. Alright guys, so now we're up on the top side here. We just got to get to the 3 nuts that are here on top of the shock tower. We got to remove the brake fluid reservoir that fills to the master cylinder. So those are 2 10mm nuts up here. I already got that one loose. And just got to get to that one in there. Alright, so we got this off. We can just lift it up off of these studs here. And we're just gonna wiggle it off to the side here. Just keep it out of the way. Careful, because this hose is not very flexible. It's more of a hard plastic than it is a rubber. So you can move it just a little bit, but don't move it too much. These are the 3 nuts that I was talking about here. So we just got to break all 3 of these loose. I like to leave the easier one, of course it didn't stay out of the way. I like to leave the one that's easiest to get undone for last. Like, I like to break it loose, but leave it still on there so that you have something holding that holding the coilover up so it doesn't fall on you. I'll get this one back here. One nut down. Oh, those back ones are always the worst because it's tight down there. You can take off this cowl if you want, but it's just as easy to do it without taking it off. Saves you a little bit of time too, because in order to take that cowl off, you have to take your wipers off. Alright, make sure we don't lose that nut. Alright, boom. Got the coilover out. So now we'll move over to the workbench and take a look at it. Alright guys, as you can see, I already got the passenger one out. I already adjusted it. This is just a little bit shorter than the max height that you can have it. BC Racing recommends a minimum of 80 millimeters of shock body within this lower mount portion. 80 millimeters. I did the math on it for US, that's 3.15 inches. I measured out 3.5 inches. So this is, you can probably see there is a clear line here of where my lock collar was and where it wasn't. It's all dirty. That's the ride height that I was at for a year and a half now. And then this is the max height. I basically did this because I wanted to see how high I could actually make this car go. Granted, I'm not going to have it that high. I'm probably going to split the difference and go right down the middle here between what it was and the height that it can be. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to unthread this all the way and then measure out 3.5 inches. There's a lot of thread there. So again, we're just going to come in here. We're going to measure out, I guess I can go a little shorter than that. We are going to measure out 3.5 inches. So, right about there. All right. So, 3.5 inches. It's a little more than what BC Racing is recommending you have in there. They're saying about 3.15. So probably in this range here is where you'd want it at maximum height. But we have the maximum height that we can see there. And again, this was where it came out of the box. I only minorly tweaked this stuff, and when I was tweaking it, I wasn't necessarily on a flat surface. I tried to find the flattest area I could to measure everything out and make sure it was balanced, but that ultimately didn't happen, which was why all four of my corners were at different heights. So we're going to fix that. Yep, that looks like 3 inches there. That looks like 3 inches. Alright, so we're nice and even on both sides. Now, alright, I guess we'll snug up the lower portion. Alright, let's measure again. It's about 3 inches right there. I'll measure over here. 3 inches again. Alright, cool. I think we're set. So we will move over to the car and get these installed back in again. Alright, so now we're back over at the car. Basically putting it in, exact same thing as pulling it out. It is a lot easier when you have someone else giving you a hand because they can help guide you in. But in all honesty, it's really not that difficult. Alright, got that first nut started there. Alright, so now that we got those, now I just want to get those started. We're going to move on to the lower stuff and get all that started. Okay, so now we're down here. We just got to line this up and line that up. So, not too bad. Sometimes it can be a pain. Sometimes it goes right in. So, just depends on the day. Alright. Got that upper one started, then we'll get the lower one started. Don't want to sock anything down until you got everything lined up, because then you're just going to be fighting yourself the whole time. So, alright. Those two are started. Let's get the sway bar link lined up in here. Alright. There we go. Sway bar links lined up. Get the nut started on there as well, so it doesn't slip out of there. Alright. Now we want to push this in when we go to tighten all this down. Alright. Let's see if I can use my knee here. Yep. Alright. Got that all set. And we'll do sway bar link here real quick. And then we'll go up top and get the rest of those, get those nuts tightened up there. Alright, so we'll get these 3 nuts all nice and tightened down. And then I'll move on to the passenger side there, get that done, and then I will show you guys what it all looks like. That's tight. Cool. Next, we'll just get the reservoir fill here taken care of, and yeah, we'll move on to the next one. Alright guys, so here we are. We're down at the rear of the car now. I've already loosened up the locking collar on this one, and I did the same thing over on the passenger side. I actually got the strut removed on the passenger side. I'm going to show you guys how to get to it here on the driver's side though. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a 15mm socket. We got a bolt down here which goes into the torsion bar there. So we just got to pop that off of there. Also, when you start doing this, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put a floor jack underneath your rear torsion bar there, as you can see in the video, right down there. Put it underneath your rear torsion bar, and what that'll do is it'll make it a lot easier to get that bolt out. Like you just saw there, I had no issues with it, and it's because I had the torsion bar level with the strut, and the spring here was not pushing down, causing tension on the bolt here. So if you do that, it just makes your life a lot easier. Next thing we got to get to is there are 2 10mm bolts up at the top of the strut here. So there are 2 up here. So we just got to get to those. I'm just using an extension, 10mm. Deep socket, you could use a shallow socket. I just grabbed deep. So we'll get that. Boom. 10mm. And we'll get the other one. Alright. Boom. Got your strut out. Alright, I just pulled the passenger side out. And we will get the driver's side here. And boom, that's that. That's how you pull that out. Now this here, this one's for your height adjustment. On the fronts, if you mess with this, it's for your spring preload. On the rears, it's your height. Alright, so here we are. I've already measured this one out here at the maximum height that it will go, which is 25 millimeters. That is 0.97 of an inch. So I just went up to 1 inch. I was like, hey, why not? We're going to do the same thing over here. Alright, so we're going to measure out 1 inch on this. Now again, I'm not going to have it at that 1 inch, but it's just nice to know what your tolerances are. So we're going to actually go. Alright, 1 inch. We'll get this threaded back in here. Alright, so that is the maximum height that we can have it at. I'm really not quite sure where I'm going to want it on here. I'm going to try and go for the middle here. I know I said that the last time, but I ended up doing 3 inches on that shock body on the front, so we're going to go in the middle here. I should probably put a mark on it before I start threading it in. Let's say something like this. Alright, and we're going to measure this, see how much I need to go. Wow, 1 inch. Yeah, let's do that. We'll go 1 inch. And we'll do the same over here. So, and it looks like, from what I can see there, that's about another inch from where it was to where we're going now. So, I guess I'm pretty alright with that. Well, for now. We'll see how high it is later. So we'll go, bam, 1 inch. Alright. We'll get this collar down there, and then we'll do the same on the other side. 6.5. 6.5. Alright. Cool. So those are both the same height. Got the rear, or passenger side, driver's side. Next we're going to go on to here. Boom. Wow, I could just spin these together, huh? I wonder what... I'm just taking a guess here and saying that I need to have at least some of it going through there, so let's just go up to the dirt here. They don't really have any specifications on this one, how much you need on the rears here, from what I looked at. They do give you a pamphlet full of paper, yeah, they give you some paperwork on directions on everything. So I'm just gonna put that on the wrong way. I'm just gonna see how this sits here. We'll see what that's like. Alright, before I get too involved there, let's do the same thing on this side here. That's at 5/8, so, and that is at 5/8. Alright, that was easy. Cool. Now we will, those ones aren't for that. No, they're not. Alright, we're going to snug these up here. Alright, we've snugged those up. We're going to remeasure just to make sure that we didn't change any of the values here. Yeah, it's just at 5/8. So I'm here. Again, just at 5/8 of an inch. Alright. Looks like now we just got to go back to the car and put it in. Alright guys, so we're over here on the driver's side of the Fiesta. We're going to be putting this all back together. Make sure down here on your torsion bar that you clear up any dirt or debris that's gathered up on there. If you put the spring in there, it can cause some squeaking and unwanted noises, so we don't want that. So let's go ahead and get this in there. Alright, just like that. I may have lowered that just a little too much over, or lowered the jack just a little too much over there. So I'm going to have to raise it up real quick. Alright. Just going to raise it up just a little bit. Alright. Okay, got the spring in there. Come on now. Alright, there we go. Now that's not going to go anywhere. I'm going to put the spring over in on the other side and we're going to raise it up all the way. Alright, I guess I can raise this up now. Make sure those springs don't go anywhere. Alright, there we go. So that's raised up. We're probably going to have to raise it up some more to get the strut lined up in there. But now we can move on here. Alright, I got one of those 10 mil bolts started. Let's get that other one started. Alright, there we go. Now we're just going to sock them down. Alright, I'm going to do the same on the other side real quick. Nice and tight. You need to get these locking collars tightened up all the way. Don't want these coming loose on you when you're driving. Alright. Get that passenger side done. Alright, passenger side's done. I'm gonna go ahead and get the wheels put on. Alright guys, I got the rears done here. You can see that there's still a decent gap here. I'm liking the height that these ones are sitting at. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to tweak, not this tire, but the passenger tire. This one's sitting at about 11 5/8 inch. The passenger tire is sitting at about 12 inches, just shy of 12 inches. So even though I measured them out, they came out a little lopsided. Now as you can see, if we go up to the front here, the rears are far lower than the fronts are. So I'm going to lower the fronts here. Now the weird thing is I measured the fronts out and they're both just about equal. There's like a fraction of an inch difference between the driver and the passenger side. So I'm not I'll probably do some fine tuning on that, but I'm definitely going to be dropping this one down to where there's at least I'll probably drop it to where the fender's about here or so. So probably going to be taking about an inch off of there. Alright guys, I got the suspension all adjusted and everything's looking pretty good. So back here at the rear, we just adjusted this one up just a little bit and adjusted the passenger side down a little bit. It was sitting a little higher than the driver's side. But we got the fronts lowered down. They are about the same height as the rears right now. Again, I measured from the top of the hubcap to the top of the fender there. And everything is even all the way around the car. So it's looking pretty good. Yeah, I definitely like the clearance a lot better now than it was before. It was just a little too low for my liking. So I'm probably going to get the car washed up and take it outside so you guys can see it out in the daylight. That's just a little video on how to adjust the coilovers. I'll be doing a review on the coilovers probably in the next video, talking about price and what there is to compare to them and all that kind of stuff, ease of assembly or putting them in the car and all that. I mean, as you saw in this video, it's really not that difficult to pull suspension out, put new suspension in. So I thank you all for watching. I hope you all take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next one.